Hello, everybody. This is Nathan and Kelley. Thank you for joining us for our first ever mid-season recap. What's up, Kelley?
What up, Nate? Glad to be here. Glad to be in this league. Just full of gladness.
Just commissioning the shit out of it.
Dude, commissioning the shit like we're sailing.
So, Kelley and I, for those of you who don't know, we do a weekly podcast that we haven't done the last 3 weeks or so because of COVID and business travel. But, we do the recaps every week, and that definitely has a certain energy. This is going to have a different energy. This is going to have more of the just talking, and we're going to try and make this not last an hour, not last 30 minutes, but we do want to kind of capture where everything is mid-season, because I think, and Kelley, I'd like your opinion on this, doing the weekly recaps in a standardized template, in a standardized format, we haven't missed one. Mm-hmm. It hasn't really even been close. I've been really excited to do it. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I really appreciate you. I think you put a lot of more work into them than I do. I just come in last second and fill them out. But I mean, it's been awesome for me. I don't think the latest we've ever gotten one out was maybe early Thursday morning of the next week. But I don't even know if we got a Thursday.
Yeah,
maybe Wednesday's about.
I think Wednesday's been the latest. And is it getting faster for you to do that?
Oh yeah, I can.
Same. Yeah.
Well, I feel like sometimes I'll be completely frank.
Yeah.
Nathan does write what I say for me for the most part.
For the most part.
I might tweak it, or sometimes, like, if I have to really just stunt on Corey, I'll write my own stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, Nathan pretty much writes everything, so he just sends me over a file, and I just record my voiceovers and do a little this, a little that, and it's on the interwebs.
Mm-hmm.
So I really appreciate all the work you do. And yeah, it's super easy for me, although I do feel like sometimes it's just every now and then little bitty things I'm like, I feel like you're writing this to try to make it hard for me to say.
No.
I know that's not the case, but like this last week, I don't even remember what the line was, but it was like I had to do like 4 or 5 retakes.
The things I write, sometimes I have to do 4 or 5 takes and I'll like curse. And just get real mad with it. Especially that week I had COVID. Cool. All right. It's definitely getting easier for me. And I know that, so also thanks everybody for sending your feedback back. Kelley is actually going to be seeing them for the first time, but a lot of the things, or at least it was brought up a couple times, is the recaps and you guys liking them. So that's definitely making me, and I think Kelley, want to just keep doing them and do more content like this. All right.
They're going to get better and better too. Just wait, maybe not this season, but next season. There's some surprises in store.
Word. All right. So, trying to make this be the best league can possibly be. That's why we're doing what we're doing. So, just basic format of this. We're gonna look at the league, look at the records, and just kind of talk about it high level. But then we're gonna go team by team, talk a little bit about where teams started, where they are now, and then again dive into your individual feedback. So, Kelley, ready to do this?
I'm born ready.
All right, so the league at a high level. We're both looking at the records right now. 4 things stand out to me. All right.
What are those?
The first one is definitely poor Brian. Our reigning champion, the Jefferson Star Destroyer, has the most points, but is sitting in 9th because he also has, by far, the most points against. Just big ouch there. I've got a bunch of points, but...
You technically have more points than him at this moment.
Oh, okay.
You now have 32 more points than he does.
For the longest time, he had the most.
Yeah.
And he still has... We're both, like, a good chunk above, like, the next couple folks.
Yeah.
But nobody has more points against than he does.
No.
Sorry about it, Brian.
I had a season like that a couple seasons ago where I had the most points, but I just got the worst matchups every single week. It's just the worst.
Yeah, we've been there. Sorry, bud. Definitely the second thing that stands out is I've never been 7-0 in any league ever. That might be a record for our league. I don't know. We'd have to go back in the historicals. But frankly, I don't feel like I've been scoring that many points every week. Obviously, the points score says otherwise, but I don't even know how I got to be 7-0, frankly.
It's because you basically have the least points against. Like, only Tony has less points against. But that's literally by 0.3 of a point less than you. You've had to do so.
Okay.
Again, it's a lot of luck. It's like when the teams you're playing against are hitting when they're not.
Mm-hmm.
you can be the best team in the world, but if just every game, like every given Sunday, anybody can win and you can lose. So yeah, we'll see how far you can take that 7-0. I don't know how far I can go.
I think this is the end of it this week.
I mean,
I have Patrick Mahomes is out, so we'll talk about it when we get into the week to week, or the team by team, but it's going to be a struggle this week.
Yeah. So standouts of the league. That was number 2.
Number 3 is that Corey is achieving his goal of having the most waiver wire ads. Just in my regular churn of week to week things I do, I've got a lot, but he's beaten me by 4. So good for him.
I mean, I guess. But yeah.
And then the final thing is that this is still anyone's to win. I always say it's a very competitive league that we play in. Mathematically, I can go 7-8 and not make the playoffs. And Corey or anybody in these kind of tiers that we've got is definitely still in striking distance of the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean that's something too. Like just looking right here, the points for it's not like there's just a super drastic difference between really any of us. I mean, even Corey being last in the league, he doesn't have significantly less points than most people in the league. So I mean, I think that's really good parity, really good. Like it's just no one's running away with it so far. I mean, your record, we'll just have to see how that plays out.
Yeah.
Other than that, like it's all pretty close. Like I'm sitting at number 5 right now, and I can see myself easily getting into the playoffs or easily getting down to like number 8. Just depends.
Same. All right. I mean, are you ready to go team by team?
Let's do it.
All right. So let's talk about Corey's team. Going from worst to first, Corey is definitely in last place with the least amount of points, but he's got, buddies that are also 2-5 records. Again, technically not out of reach for him. Corey's team, a.k.a.
the team formerly known as Brutality.
Corey's been changing his team name every week for the last 3 or 4 weeks.
Not dang much.
Right now, he is a soccer ball emoji. I think he would want us to call him some other type of emoji. That's not going to happen. Prior to that, Watts beats poses. Prior to that,
I don't even remember some stupid shit about Khan.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to respect with going back and looking for it.
So looking at Corey's team from the draft, Corey was in a unique situation because of some shenanigans or some things that seemed like good ideas, I'm sure, to him.
For him doing everything he possibly could to make a three-peat happen, but just it didn't.
Can't forget that context.
I mean, that's big. That's why I don't really hate on him too much for what he did, because, I mean, if I could throw everything at finishing a three-peat, I would.
So his top 3 picks, and I don't think his second pick, Deontay Johnson, was until the 4th round, but he had Austin Eckler, Deontay Johnson, and Damian Pierce. And the draft AI report or whatever gave him best pick for picking up Isaiah Spiller, who I don't know did anything or has done anything this year in real football, but gave him a slap on the wrist for going out on a limb for Damian Pierce, who right now is definitely his best player.
Yeah.
And let's talk about Austin Eckler.
Yep.
We made
trading
draft picks legal last year.
Yep.
And Kelley and I, there's things about the league that Kelley didn't initially like, and there's things about the league that I don't initially like. But I've come to like the trading of draft picks because it's sort of a de facto dynasty league, where you get to re-pick the team every year, which I frankly prefer. That's kind of why I don't like dynasty.
Right.
But you still get to influence next year with what you're doing this year, which is huge. And Corey did a huge trade last week with Abby, where he gave up that, not just his first pick, but literally the first pick of the draft, which was hysterical. Gave Austin Eckler to Abby so that he could get a first-round draft pick next year. So he's kind of doing the opposite of what he did. And it's again, the changing of draft picks, I'm a small c conservative as far as why are we changing things if we like things?
Right.
But I'm warming up to it because I do think that Austin Eckler for number 1 pick, I see what he's doing. I'm interested to see how it plays out.
Yeah.
I'm definitely warming up to the trading of draft picks.
I'm definitely okay with Corey being the guinea pig for all of this.
Awesome. All right, so let's look at Corey's team.
Yeah, it looks pretty bad right now.
Aaron Rodgers hurt a bunch of people this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, besides Pierce, couldn't give two shits about really anybody.
Dameon Pierce has been great. I'm sure the Texans are super happy about that. James Robinson came out on fire, much like Cam Akers last year. Fucked up his Achilles and then showed up and showed out. And that has since kind of tapered off, but now he's on a new team. Could work out for him. If Amon-Ra St. Brown doesn't turn it around, it could be pretty bad for Corey. But barring that, still in it. And again, thinking about the long run with next year.
I mean, you know you're going to have a bad time when you have two running backs from the Jets on your team.
Yeah. So let's talk about Corey's feedback. We asked everybody, put your season in one word. What was something you liked about this season? What was something you didn't like about the season? And if you have any questions for the commissioners, Kelley and I would seek to answer them here. So, no surprise, Corey's one word was heal.
He's so good at it.
At the beginning of this year, Corey, Kelley, and I, we all play in Corey's league as well. And I've said there's been so many heals and heel turns. We're drowning in heals and healiness. And heal is not a surprising word for him. Do you want to do the next one?
Yeah, what was the second question?
What is something that you liked about this year?
He liked reaching for A-Town over the rest of those overrated banana slappers and getting a first round out of it.
Yep. So that was kind of controversial when he picked Austin Eckler over Jonathan Taylor. Because he was, the number one by far.
Yeah.
Could have got Cooper Kupp, could have got CMC, could have got a few different people, got Austin Eckler. And yeah, I can see him spinning that as a positive thing that the net of that is he's got a first round for next year. For thing he said he didn't like, unfortunately, all of my wide receivers couldn't catch fire if they were shot into the sun. Accurate.
Yeah. Very, very accurate.
And it's a little disrespectful to Amon-Ra because he was on fire for a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's similar to you've got two guys on the Jets investing in the Lions historically. Bad idea. Yeah. And then he said Tigers or Bears. Is that like the NFL football teams? This is his question to us. Tigers or Bears? I think it has to do with your...
I'm sure it does.
Yeah.
Little fuck.
I
mean, of course, Bears.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not even a question.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to go with Bears because they're just like bears that are native to America. Yeah.
And I'm just not a cat person.
The Tigers are probably my favorite cat. I'd say that much.
Fair.
All right. That's Corey's team. On to the next one. All right. Next up is our buddy Stefan with CD Trophy. Actually did okay in the draft according to Yahoo. His top three picks were Joe Mixon, CD Lamb, and Keenan Allen. But this gets into kind of a theme for this year is so many injuries, right? So Stefan definitely invested in the Cowboys. And biggest steal, Yahoo says, was Dak Prescott. And similarly, I invested in Dak in a lot of leagues.
Yeah.
But invested in CD, invested in Dak, and Dak going down week 1 has not been good for either player, right?
Right.
And similarly, Keenan Allen played a couple weeks, I think, and has not played since. So, sorry about it, Stefan.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard, the position he's been in. I mean, he hasn't been... I mean, he's been outbeaten points against so far this year, not by a ton, but I guess that's pretty close, but we've seen him be more dominant in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, am I super bummed that he's not dominating right now? No. But, to be fair, I feel like he's been a little quiet. He's always brought a voice to the league, but still still looking forward to the rest of the season. I don't think we've heard the last of him just yet.
It is fun to imagine Stefan and Corey just doing slappy fists in the basement together.
That was, oh man, I've had so much entertainment over the years with those two guys going at each other.
Looking at his roster, though, I'm seeing some good things, like Tyler Boyd. Sad news, Jamar Chase looks like he's going to be out for 4 to 6 weeks, but that means Tyler Boyd is here to go off. He's got Jimmy Garoppolo, who is got CMC now. He's got Josh Jacobs, who has been supernova most of the year, definitely the last 3 weeks. And again, with Dak Prescott back, CeeDee Lamb should be picking up the pace. Did a good job investing in Eno Benjamin because James Conner might be getting traded.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Mixon, if Jamar Chase isn't there, presumably he gets more passes, more rushing yards. So Keenan Allen, bye week, probably comes back out of the bye. So I'm seeing a lot of potential here.
Yeah, same. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think his team is due for some good juju.
Good.
And I'm not talking about that Juju Smith-Schuster. I'm talking about the other kind of juju.
Zing. All right, talking about Stefan's responses. I think this is going to be a theme. I think a lot of people are kind of unhappy with how the year has gone. His season in one word, abysmal.
Yeah.
Sorry about it. Do love this one. Do you want to hit what his favorite part is?
Yeah, his favorite part so far is moving out of last place has given him the strength to stretch his shit-talking muscles, which is what this league needs right now. We need another voice. I've tried to play the heel as much as I could. I just, it's hard for me. I'm not a natural heel. It takes a lot of work. Yelling at Corey it hurts.
It's counter.
It hurts me. It's very counterintuitive. So I'm looking to see that coming back from Stefan.
Mm-hmm. We talked about it, his least favorite part each week, someone getting injured. And here's a question that I am eager to get your take on. Should game-winning field goals be worth more points?
I thought you said weaning.
I did say weaning.
You know, I've got a lot of love for kickers and what they do, mostly because my first championship win in this league came from a last-second kick.
It's a beautiful video.
And that meant a lot to me. That being said, I think there are just so many X factors that, like, get you to even being put in front of winning, like, a game-winning kick.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know if you can really put that on the player, like, if they did it. I mean, honestly, I wouldn't be mad about bumping it up, like, 2 or 3 points. So, whatever the kick is, like, versus distance plus 3 points.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't see it being anything more than that.
Yeah, I think we just changed last year, literally, the scoring for kickers where you get points based on yards. I think it's pretty cool. And I'm not opposed, but I'm not even sure if we have that in our scoring settings to do. So maybe we will, maybe we won't.
Yeah. We'll look into it. We'll definitely take it into consideration.
Definitely.
Stefan, your voice has been heard.
Mm-hmm.
And if we do change it, we'll call it the Stefan rule.
Mm-hmm. Last thing for Stefan, I see you seeing the comments in the Yahoo app, but you don't talk much. So we're trying to keep all the media to YouTube, Facebook, and the Yahoo app. So Stefan, don't be a stranger, bud.
Yeah.
Onward to Jami's Azkaban Death Eaters.
Jami.
So from a draft perspective, top 3 picks were Dalvin Cook, Devin Duvernay, and Ezekiel Elliott. Devin Duvernay, I know a lot of people questioned. Something unique about our league is we count return yards. And I think that sometimes tricks the AI or the scoring system, as it is, into just throwing a bunch of points onto folks who are designated returners or historically have done a lot of returns. Sometimes it pans out, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
But I think for the most part, that's worked out for Jami. Dalvin Cook, he's been on lately. And Ezekiel Elliott, unfortunately, that whole offense has not been that great in the absence of Dak Prescott. Prescott came back. Ezekiel Elliott had a great game, but now he's limping around a little bit. So yet to see what happens there. Apparently her QB pick was Jameis Winston, who definitely didn't pan out. And like I said, Yahoo dinged her for picking up Devin Duvernay so early, but Yahoo doesn't know how cool we are.
Yeah, Yahoo's could be a bitch.
Looking at the roster, Kyler Murray is somebody who I was targeting myself. Got those run yards, is in a NFL air raid offense, so throws a ton. And I think is going to be going good places now that DeAndre Hopkins is back. Amari Cooper has picked it up lately. It's got Devin Duvernay as like her number one wide receiver. But again, sometimes works out, sometimes doesn't. I think it's going to be the running back that is going to be that limiter because she's got Khalil Herbert, who has shown a ton of talent, but definitely, I think you know a little bit about this. The Bears are not walking away from David Montgomery anytime soon.
Yeah. David Montgomery. That's another discussion at another time. I was kind of, I'm still, and I was even at the beginning of the season, a little on the fence about Kyler Murray. He likes Call of Duty a little too much.
Ooh.
And the fact that they originally had that clause in his contract where he had to commit to a certain number of hours of film study a week, that's just not. It's not a great combination of things for me. So.
A little comical. It's a little big zoomer energy.
I mean, yeah, massive.
Another thing that stands out is Dallas Goedert. He's got no more bye weeks behind him, and we talk about the tight end sweepstakes of after Mark Andrews, after Travis Kelce, huge fall off after that. Goddard could put her in a good position. So worried about the running backs, but definitely, like everybody, in striking distance of the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's get into this feedback.
Into the feedback.
Season in one word: foul.
Foul.
Which makes sense being in the basement. For something she liked about the season, drafting Devin Duvernay and everyone being like, "Who the fuck is that? Why? What the first two games a combined score of 47 points and he's still going strong. Suck it." Love the enthusiasm.
Yeah. And thing that she does not like about the season so far is, and I quote, "The worst thing about this season so far is was the Dementors. They were flying all over the place and they were scary. And they'd come down and they'd suck the soul out of your body and it hurt." That's, yeah. I mean, I can understand feeling that way being in 10th place right now, but
I think what she's trying to tell us with this picture of Michael Scott is that is a modified quote from The Office.
And I butchered it. I'm sorry. This is my first reaction to it. Had I read this before, I might have been able to figure it out and delivered it better. But love you, Jami. Sorry about that. But get your team straight.
Jamie's question to the commissioners: why did the tiny ghost join the football team? He heard they needed a little team spirit.
I mean,
it's not quite a question, not quite a riddle.
I'll allow it. That's honestly, recently I set up my phone to like tell me a joke at 8:55 every morning. Mm-hmm. They're absolutely horrible.
It's this
like, it is not this level. This is way better than what I'm getting.
Okay, that's good.
On my phone. So
kudos,
I love
Jamie.
it. Great job, Jami. Just keep going. You're gonna get there. And, finish off the season strong.
Get it. And rounding out the bottom tier of 2 and 5 teams is our reigning champion, Brian's Jefferson Star Destroyer. Yeah, this is one of the beneficiaries of Corey's draft pick trading last year. Brian actually had 2 third-round draft picks, and his first draft pick was Justin Jefferson, hence the name. Second was Travis Kelce, pretty jealous of that.
Yeah.
Third was James Conner, but his fourth is actually Deebo Samuel.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, in retrospect, or at least for me, I would think you would pick Deebo before Conner, but think about the scarcity of running backs, whatever. Not a bad 1, 2, 3.
Yeah. I mean, his roster up and down, it's formidable. Like, he's got depth. He's had some injuries that are hurting him a little bit right now, but I mean, that being said, it's just he plays the wrong people every single week. He has whoever he's playing against each week has their best game of the season, basically. So it's been a tough one for Brian. I've definitely been there before. I know that feeling, just getting the wrong matchup every single week. Nothing you can do about it. Just keep riding it out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at this roster, and I think it's kind of thin at a wide receiver and running back. I mean, Terry McLaurin and Paris Campbell were playing for him this week, but Deebo Samuel being hurt. Hopefully, he can get it back together. And when you talk about the tight end sweepstakes, you can't really do better than Travis Kelce. So I don't know. I think I'm always thinking about that draft pick trade experiment, and again, one of the reasons I'm warming up to it is maybe it's not as dramatic a thing as I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So on to Brian's responses to us. Season in a word, and not surprising, being at the top of the 2 and 5 teams, disappointing.
Yeah.
Yeah. His highlight, he says, is the YouTube recaps, which we very much appreciate. We like doing them. Again, for me, it's just kind of keeping me honest to having a historical record week to week. For low lights, get Michael Gallup. Definitely not coming back sooner, but definitely the Dak Prescott part. But then he also put the Saints and the Longhorns.
I mean, that's very fair. I'm not really much of a fan of the Saints or I guess the Longhorns, but I do feel for the fan bases. I mean, I have to just like kind of default root for the Longhorns unless like they're playing someone else that I really do care about. So there is some feelings for that, but yeah, I mean, totally understandable.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess his question for us then is, are the Giants and the Jets actually good? I'm not ready to say yes, just because I don't know if I'm ready to live in a world where the Giants and the Jets, especially the Jets, are good.
Mm.
That just doesn't sit right with me. I feel like it upsets the balance.
I think the talent of the players is there, but probably the biggest difference is it seems like both franchises have their long-term coaches for the first time in a while.
Yeah.
Robert Saleh over at the Jets and Brian Dable, who I love seeing at the end of the game just all fired up, because I think the majority of their games have been one-score games that they've won. Like I don't think they've blown anybody out. I think they've always been kind of close, and definitely the few I can think of came down to the last drive, the last minute.
Yeah.
So definitely fun to watch, and sure, I'll say they're actually good. Yeah.
I mean, we'll see. Give it a few more weeks, and I might concede that, but
Yeah.
just not ready for it.
All right, on to the next one. Next up is Ashley's football emoji. That was really cute when she decided to go with just an emoji. She's done that the last 2 years, I think.
Yeah, I think this year too. Well, she started using emojis before just the football. When we did the
Fast and Furious?
I don't know if it was that. I know she did a pepper for the chili peppers.
Nice.
So yeah, it's pretty funny. I really like that. And just calling it the football emoji, I don't know what else you'd call it. Like that seems very logical, but it just still tickles me that I just say it.
I think we did that ourselves too. I don't think we were like, hey, Ashley, what do you want? How do you want us to interpret this?
Oh no, I know we did it ourselves.
So looking at her draft, Ashley historically drafts well. I think this is one of the few years she didn't get like A+ from Yahoo. But her top 3 were Jamar Chase, ouch.
Yeah.
Recently, hip injury, out for originally 4 to 6 weeks, maybe a little bit shorter now, but out for some time. And at the beginning of the season, I know didn't perform that well, has recently turned it on. So hopefully, I'm personally a Jamar Chase fan. I hope he works that out. And then Alvin Kamara, who, similar, slow start, now he's rocking and rolling. But pick number 3, Cam Akers. That was one where had that Achilles injury last year, and when he came back last year, did well in the regular season, and then didn't do so well in the playoffs. But maybe you think that's because he's playing, every strong opponent. Comes into this year and just big old belly flop.
Yeah.
Yeah. But interesting in the most improved, or I'm not sure what Yahoo means when they say that, but Ramondre Stevenson is definitely a great value pick for her. because he's gone off for that Patriots offense.
And that's fairly uncharacteristic to have a Patriots running back that will really be going off, because they really historically have liked to really run by committee a lot. And I've definitely invested in some Patriot running backs in the past, and it never played out well for me. So I guess they got to do something different since they don't have a quarterback right now. So they're leaning on that young talent.
Yeah, the combination of strong defense and strong running game, tried and true. You talk about some of the older coaches, Bill Belichick is definitely one of them. And I think that just redounds to Ashley's benefit. So looking at the roster, I know two positions that constantly looking for who's the next person who's going to be the person. It's quarterback and tight end. So Ashley drafted Russell Wilson, waited on QB, and picked probably the last one that was supposed to have high volume. Maybe not the legs anymore, but we all know that Russell Wilson has just not worked out for the Denver Broncos yet.
He's a donkey.
A little bit donkey-brained. So that's tough. Right now she's got Geno Smith in her starting lineup, who has been serviceable. But, at the beginning of the season, nobody thinks you're going to draft Russell Wilson and be in week 8 using Geno Smith.
Yeah. That's one magical thing about football. You never know what's going to happen.
And then second is tight end. And Dawson Knox is in there now. Hopefully that works out. But I know that it's been a tight end carousel on this roster. Wide receiver with Jamar Chase out now, as well as Mike Williams having a pretty significant injury. Cordero Patterson should be coming back in the next couple weeks. So again, another roster that is set up to could possibly go the distance, but definitely big question marks when it comes to tight end and quarterback.
Yeah, I think if her team can just tread water here for a couple more weeks, then she's definitely in a position to make a run for it at the end.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, good luck with it. I wish you nothing but the best, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. So Ashley's season in a word: brutal. Following that theme, for highlight, and this is kind of sad, Jamar Chase is finally bromanced into a great performance. Burrow wore his LSU championship jersey on game day. That must have been before the injury news.
Yeah. So pretty sad. Low light for her this year. I guess that'll probably be different at this point if we had her here at the moment and that we're asking. But her low light is Russell Wilson. She said she bought into his cheesy hype. Let's ride.
Let's ride.
And I'll forever be grateful for Russell Wilson bringing us Let's Ride. I think the world needed that. We were in a dark place, and it's definitely shown some light on me, at least.
Thank you, Russell Wilson.
Thank you, Russ.
All right, so no questions from Ashley. We can go to the next one. All right, so we are now in this next tier of 3 and 4 teams versus 2 and 5 teams. Sorry, Ashley's in that tier as well. But for our next team, we got Tom's Tomato Sauce. I think that's one of those team names he picked a while back, and despite when we had themes changing back and forth, just like, I'm Tomato Sauce.
Which, I guess respect to just keeping with it. Wish we would have played along a little bit more with the themes, but now that we're out of themes, you can do whatever you want, and I support you riding that tomato sauce all the way to the wherever you want to ride it
to. For his draft, Tom was actually another one of the beneficiaries of Corey shenanigans, and actually had 2 second-round picks, which just Tom is arguably the most, when it comes to relationships with the league, the most separated, the most removed. There you go. Yeah. I think he's a cousin of Tony, who was a friend of me and Kelley's from high school.
Yeah.
So he's just like off on a branch, a friend of a friend. And, sometimes hasn't performed like everybody else has. So I think we were all excited to see what is Tom going to do with 2 second-round picks, and he did well. So his first 3 picks were Derrick Henry, Devontae Adams, and Tyreek Hill. And there are big questions around Tyreek Hill coming into Miami, coming into a different offense, but he's done very well. And when you talk about who Yahoo has as his best pick and going out on a limb, Mark Ingram, Yahoo said was the best pick. So I love that. I want to do this recap to see kind of what were the differences between the beginning of the season and the middle of the season. Mark Ingram ain't done shit. Going out on a limb, Drake London, and has had an up week or two. Mostly not so much rookie wide receiver, but we'll see what he does in the second half of the season. Looking at Tom's roster, I think we're in the beginning of these are all teams that are super strong.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, just looking up and down. QB, right now he's playing Tua Tagovailoa, who himself has had some pretty great games, but drafted Justin Herbert. And that's a really great pick, in my opinion, for QB in our league and how we do scoring. But then you keep going down again. Tyreek Hill and Devontae Adams, running back Travis Etienne, who is now the undisputed number 1 in Jacksonville, set to go off for the rest of the season. Again, Derrick Henry in the tight end sweepstakes landed on Dalton Schultz, who now has Dak Prescott back, but in the past has played David Njoku, who is also pretty strong. Devontae Smith in that wide receiver role for the Eagles has done really well, and then also some more talent on the bench. So a strong roster that can definitely go all the way, and I would be super excited to see that. I would love to have Tom come into the playoffs and everybody go, who is Tom? And have to explain this all over again.
And he definitely has a real legitimate shot to make a strong run. I mean, if you look at it right now, he has had the second most points against of anyone else in the league. So, similar to Brian, he just keeps getting matchups that someone's just balling out that doesn't usually do so. So if the law of averages comes around, he's definitely gonna start picking up some steam here towards the second half of the year.
Defense has Micah Parsons too. That's not lost on me. So in responses to the questionnaire, I love this. Your season in one word. Forget about it. For highlight, what's been the highlight so far? Week 3, when I thought I lost, but woke up the next day and points were adjusted, and I finally won a game. Cannot say I might have cried to Tony about it. That was our closest game.
Yeah.
So close that points adjustments, again, pushed it from Lauren to Tom, which I love me a close game.
Yeah, I'm glad I wasn't a part of that. I would have been... that would have been too much for me to handle. I mean, especially I feel for Lauren because, being basically declared the winner. Pretty sure in our weekly recap we declared her the winner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we definitely did.
After the fact, it changed, and then she was not the winner.
Yeah,
it's a kick in the teeth. It really is. But I'm happy for Tom. I'm excited to see what he's going to do the rest of the season, and I guess. So I guess what has been, oh my goodness, I cannot even speak right now. I apologize. What's been the low light of his season so far? And he responded thinking tight end. I don't know how to say the name.
It's Albert O. Everybody knows Albert O. On the Denver Broncos was the next big thing. When you talk about beginning of season to now, there are a lot of assumptions you come into the season with, like that Russell Wilson might be good, like that Albert O might be the next big tight end.
I honestly didn't know he went by Albert O, but I know who he is. Like the name, it's like I see it and it looks like to me kind of like the Prince symbol. Like it's not a word, but I know it's a person. I know who that person is.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, tight ends are always a gamble. Always, but you never really know what you're going to get unless you have like Travis.
Just top 2. Yep. For questions with the commissioners, no questions. Appreciate you letting me play all these years. Thank you. And Tom, thank you. Obviously, been with the league basically as long as everyone, and that's super cool of you to play with us.
Yeah.
Every year. All right, so let's get on to the next team. I'm excited to talk about.
The next one.
Abby's Bosa Boys.
Both boys.
So, the beneficiary of doing a trade with Corey this year got Austin Eckler, who was, again, the first pick of the draft from Corey's number 1 spot in the first draft. Looking at the draft, she got Aaron Jones, Stefan Diggs, and Chase Edmonds, who, again, similar to Alberto on Tom's team, Chase Edmonds, a lot of hype, not panned out. It's definitely been a backseat bench warmer. Aaron Jones just turned it on last week, and along with Austin Eckler having a strong performance, Abby looked like a world beater. She's also, as the name implies, invested in both of the Bosa brothers, which gives her, along with Fred Warner, one of the stronger defenses in the league, I think.
Yeah.
This is again, I think all of them are going to be at this point one of the rosters that I love. Quarterback Joe Burrow, who scored 4 touchdowns, I think 1 or 2 of them on the ground last week. He's just phenomenal. Sucks he doesn't have Jamar Chase, but he's still got T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd and Hayden Hurst, and Joe Mixon can catch passes. So I expect to see good things from Joe Burrow. Brandon Ayuk, kind of hit or miss on wide receiver, but right after that, Stefan Diggs, who I think I'm pretty high on. Running backs, again, Aaron Jones, Austin Eckler. As long as DeAndre Swift is out, Jamal Williams is a dog. But then actually, at a running back, so maybe she doesn't have a lot of running back depth, but do you need it when you have Aaron Jones firing on all cylinders and, of course, Austin Eckler? Wide receivers after the top 2. You know what? Maybe this is a thinner team than I thought. Because we're looking at Donovan Peoples-Jones and Robert Woods, who, as long as Treylon Burks is out, should do well. But then not a lot after that. Mecole Hardman had a good week last week, but kind of spotty. And now with them picking up Kadarius Toney, kind of interested to see how that shakes out for the Kansas City wide receivers.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just in the past I've seen anytime I try to mess with Kansas City wide receivers, I never get a super amazing return just because they spread it out so much. They have so many weapons, and Patrick definitely knows how to spread it around. So it's always kind of sometimes you're going to have a huge week, sometimes you're going to have a very mediocre week.
I think the center of gravity for that Kansas City offense is definitely Travis Kelce. We saw Bryant pick up Kadarius Toney. I like Mecole Hardman. He's supposed to be that Tyreek Hill, but I definitely think that Kadarius Toney is probably going to be that Tyreek Hill moving forward. On Abby's responses to the league questionnaire, one word for the season: surge. Which, especially if the Austin Eckler trade works out in her favor, which almost certainly it will, is going to take off. For highlight, I like this one: Joe Burrow's admirable return from appendicitis. You or me get our appendix out, we're probably not looking to play sports where we get hit a whole bunch as soon as possible. But that's exactly what Joe Burrow did. For low light, you want to hit this one?
Sure. Low light, she's the Bosa boys, and she's definitely had periods in this season where she had no Bosas.
Yeah.
And that's hard, especially if you start with 2 and you go down to 0. That hurts.
The flavor of our recaps has started trending towards clowning on folks more, teasing and abusing folks more, and I really felt that when I remember I texted you about this. I went hard on Abby, and I don't know why. And it was because I was saying things like her singular Bosa. When you she's definitely stayed committed. She's changed it to no Bosas, and now she's got her Bosa boys back. So good for her for sticking with it. And in year 2, I think I love, again, the draft picks I'm just not sure about, but I like seeing how that pick played out, and I think it's funny that Abby did it in year 2. She's coming in as a savvy GM, a savvy coach of a team, so I want to see more good things from Abby.
Yeah, I'm super excited for her. She's gonna have a killer rest of the season, and really scares me that she's behind me in the rankings because I know she's gonna probably pass me.
Speaking of, let's get into your team, Kelley.
Let's do it.
So beginning this next tier of 4 and 3 teams, your team, Blue 42.
Yeah, that's my team.
Do you want to talk about the name of your team for a bit?
I mean, I feel like it's kind of self-explanatory. Like, I'm personally just a huge fan of the TV show Tailspin. I loved it as a child. I had COVID a few months ago, and I rewatched the whole series while I had COVID. And, I love aviation, so just flying around and stuff. I really like it, and I really relate to Blue. And I don't know, Blue 42 came out because quarterbacks are like Blue 42.
Yep.
But it's Blue, not Blue. So
Nailed it.
yeah, that's where my name comes from.
Drafting out of the number 6 spot, you got Cooper Kupp, Leonard Fournette, and Michael Pittman as your top 3 picks. I don't think you have any regrets about Cooper Kupp, but how do you feel about Leonard Fournette and Michael Pittman?
Not great. I mean, Tampa Bay just as a whole has been quite disappointing so far this year. So Leonard Fournette, he hasn't. I mean, he's been okay, but he's not a real like RB1. But it is what it is. And then the similar with
Pittman?
I mean, I didn't think Matt Ryan was going to be as bad as he is. And now they're going with, what's his name?
Sam Ellinger.
Yep. The Texas boy.
That I know Brian is a big fan of.
Yeah. So, I don't know, maybe he'll be able to get him the ball a little more, but it's just a lot of things just kind of disappointing about my team this year so far.
Yahoo commended you on getting Darren Waller as your biggest deal, and that has not worked out for you?
Not really. I mean, he's been banged up, and again, Las Vegas, they're not doing what I thought they were going to be able to do this year. Carr just isn't really being the car that I wanted him to be. He's turned into a lemon.
Looking at your roster, you had mentioned the difficulty with Pittman. Jerry Jeudy, I know he's been up and down. I know he's the subject of trade rumors. But the guy that stands out to me is David Montgomery. He's talked about it a little bit. There's another running back on that roster that just looks like a world beater, Khalil Herbert. Like, I'd love to watch him run. Big dude. But for whatever reason, Chicago just remains committed to feeding David Montgomery as much as they can as long as he's on the field.
And, I mean, that might be because I made some calls. I was like, hey, I need him to get something. So, yeah, I mean, again, just not doing what I thought he was going to do, but he has potential, but I don't know. He's been very up and down this year.
Something that shocks me about your team is you've only made 5 moves as far as like picking up free agents or waivers or anything all season.
Yeah.
What's that about?
That's just kind of part of my strategy that I run with every year. Like, I usually draft pretty strong, and I don't know. I like to stick with my draft picks unless I absolutely can't, or I just absolutely need to stop. And I never have a lot of luck finding anybody really great just on the waiver wires or just in free agency. I don't know, maybe it's just not one of my strong suits in fantasy football. And I don't know. I mean, I'm definitely going to start looking into maybe making some moves, but I also feel that, like, this team, if things just start clicking, it's going to be a good team. And I just don't want to fully give up on that yet. And it just, I don't know. I don't want to ever get rid of somebody and then someone else pick them up and then they go off. And I'd rather lose and hold on to my guys than give away some guys and have someone else I don't want to see succeed, have them succeed.
You're definitely on the opposite end of the tinkering spectrum than me and
Yeah, it's very true.
Corey.
But I mean, who can say what really works and what doesn't? I mean, I'm a 2-time champ. Corey's a 2-time champ. You're only a 1-time champ, right?
I think it's only one time, yeah.
Yeah. So it just depends. Like that's the thing about fantasy. Like there's no right, there's no wrong way. It's just you do what you do. And
Hey, you got my favorite kicker, Justin Tucker.
yeah, he's probably been my most reliable player on my team this year. But I mean, I'm not mad about it. I like me Justin Tucker.
So did you do a one word or submit a question to the league?
I mean, I can answer them. I don't have to write it. I didn't have to write it down or send it to you because I mean, we are the league.
Yeah, for us or for the audience. I mean,
But for the audience, in one word so far, I'd have to say my season is restful. I guess. If I was losing or doing like bad, like Corey or something, then I wouldn't be so worried about things. I wouldn't have expectations. If I was dominating like you are, I'd feel a lot more comfortable. But I'm right on that bubble spot, or that right on the bubble of like I could be good or I could just fall off. So there's that highlight of my season so far. Hands down, has to be just whooping the shit out of Corey. Like that felt so good.
mm-hmm.
Very cathartic,
Mm.
and just glad I got to do it.
He did come at you a little bit.
He came at me so hard, and I love you to death, Corey. But I'm glad I just beat the shit out of you. Low light, I gotta say it's Tom Brady. I've been rocking with him for so long. I've probably had him on like every fantasy team I've ever had, or at least close to it. Like almost every year, in at least one league, I've had him. In all the years I've been playing fantasy, but he's having a rough one this year. He's having a real rough one, and I don't know. We'll see if having this divorce finalized is gonna do anything for him, good or bad, or. But I honestly think he's dead.
Tom Brady, what's going on with him personally and the game? I keep saying it's a Greek tragedy, and I keep going back to two things. One, Ozymandias, look upon my works, ye mighty, in despair. We've done all these great things, but it's so fucking sad now. And then the second thing is George Strait, a song called Cheyenne. Listen to it. It's Tom Brady. It's about Tom Brady.
I'm not familiar with the song, but I will check it out.
Who it?
Yes, that's he's my low light. And then question to the commissioners. I mean, we are the commissioners, and don't really have any questions.
Sure. They have some interest in some things for the league.
I mean, I got some things cooking, but we're not gonna get into that right at this very moment. But just in the future, just know I'm gonna ask the league a question, so be ready for it.
All right.
Yeah, that's my team.
We got 3 teams left. Let's do it. Sitting at the top of this tier of 4 and 3 teams is Lauren's 1 Hot 2 Minute Drill, which is a team name, I believe, derived from our last themed season, which was the Red Hot Chili Peppers Stadium Arcadium season.
Yep.
And again, strong roster. We talked about the draft. Number 1 pick was Josh Allen. Oh, yeah. And going into the draft, we were all talking about what sort of preparation we did. Lauren was, we've been talking about it all season. Very prepared. A lot of spreadsheets. Said she was spreadsheeting it up. And I don't know if I mentioned it or not. I also, dabble in the spreadsheets, dabble in the draft prep. I'm not gonna dive too much into it because I do think it is a competitive differentiator. But when she said spreadsheets, I said, "Is there anything that spreadsheets can't solve?" And it it resonated with Brian and some other people in the league. So big respect for the use of spreadsheets.
Yeah.
Josh Allen, number one pick. Saquon Barkley, number two pick, who's definitely worked out for her. I'm not sure about where he is now, but he's been the leading running back in the league for certain weeks. Number three pick was AJ Dillon, who again your expectations coming into the season versus what actually happens.
Yeah.
I got a lot of AJ Dillon stock in other leagues, and he just hasn't taken over, hasn't performed to expectation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I really like her roster though.
let's talk about it.
I mean, I don't know. It's definitely one of those that like easily if 2/3 of it's clicking, she's going to be doing well.
I think in the early part of the roster, we talk about again expectations coming in. Michael Thomas, is he going to return to form? Oh, look, they got Jarvis Landry there on the Saints now too. They're both dead, which means Chris Olave is going off. Let's see, how many targets did this guy get? 14 targets in the last game. So he's been feasting in the reality of the Saints roster and how that's unfolded. Running back, we talked about the difficulty of AJ Dillon, but after that, she's only got DJ Dallas, who is a return specialist for Seattle and gets a couple third down touches. And then Darrell Henderson, who with Cam Akers falling apart, might be set up for good things, but the Rams also might be trading for another running back. So who knows how that's going to play out. In the tight end sweepstakes, you got TJ Hawkinson, who's not a bad choice, or not a bad option. I'm sure Rondell Moore has done great things in the season up to this point, but D-Hop is back, so we got to see what happens there. And then I'm certain this guy, Gabe Davis, has probably won her a couple weeks because he has gone nuclear in a couple different weeks.
That's what I'm saying. There's a couple guys on the squad that are outperforming their expectations, and I like to see it. Matt Gay, kicker, big fan of that guy, and with Harrison Butker on the bench, like two really good kickers.
Mm-hmm.
Butker has done me some real good things over the years, but yeah, she's has a real strong team, and sure ill will, but she's ahead of me in the standings now, so a couple injuries, nothing too severe, just let me get ahead of you.
Yep. So Lauren wasn't able to turn in responses, but I'm just going to give her one word. It is spreadsheets. And Lauren, keep up the good work, and we hope to see you do good things. Next. All right, and now one of my most favorite team names to say in the recaps. It's Tony's. It's my Dak in a box. Love that you did that, Tony.
You really put something into that every time you say
Every time. It's so fun. And we like to kind of poop on Yahoo and say how much more we know than Yahoo does when it comes to how they just throw points at our scoring system. Tony actually got the bottom of the draft grades. He got a D- and is at the bottom of the ranking. But, fuck all that. He's in third place. And when you look at his top three picks, you can kind of see why Yahoo did what they did. Number one, he picked Najee Harris, who I love to death, but has just not performed to expectations. DeAndre Swift, who, I mean, this is played to expectation, goes off when he's in, but is often out.
Yeah.
And then finally, that number three pick. And Tony's team, his stack is Jalen Hurts at QB and this guy, A.J. Brown at wide receiver. I can't believe he fell to the third round. I'm sure that's somebody that I wanted to grab because I do have him in a lot of other places. And looking at that roster, Yahoo gave him in his draft biggest deal for George Kittle. So I know recently in a good place when it comes to the tight end sweepstakes. But looking at this roster, that stack of sorry, one second. That stack of Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown, I know has been a great 1-2 for him and won him, probably all the weeks that got him here to this 5-2, being at the bottom of this 5-2 tier.
Yeah, I mean, Tony, he's had a really good season so far, but the thing is, he's one of those teams where you just kind of keep an eye on him because, I mean, in all actuality, he has the second fewest points against, so he's just getting the perfect matchups every single week. Don't know if that can really keep going. And for his points for, I think he's maybe the fourth lowest in the league for points for. So it's not like he's putting up tons of points. He's just getting really good matchups. Maybe it can keep going, but I think it's going to be tough. So um, he's got some work to do to get through the rest of this second half of the season.
If I was going to put money on folks other than myself, obviously, I look at this roster and the thing that stands out to me, the biggest blip on the radar in this roster, is two things now. Is Kenneth Walker, who I think came in as one of the higher drafted running backs, and now that Rashad Penny is out and he's just getting the touches, he's doing magic with them, and he is going to be one of the top 5 running backs week to week as long as he's in. I don't think he has a history of like health issues like Rashad Penny definitely did, like DeAndre Swift definitely does. But given the opportunity, he is not balked at all. He just is going nuts. And then with Jamar Chase out, T. Higgins, I expect, is ready to go off. Even when Jamar Chase is in, sometimes T. Higgins is scoring ridiculous points. So as far as being set up for the long term, I think that he's in a good place, specifically with Kenneth Walker. And if Najee can turn it around, if DeAndre Swift is going to actually play, that's a lot of points, I think, for that team.
Yeah.
Got Evan McPherson, who's one of my favorite kickers, too.
Yeah, he's a good one, too. There are very few things I appreciate about anything Ohio sports related, but Evan McPherson is one.
Talking about Tony's responses, season 1 word, boondoggles. For the highlight of the season thus far, the team chat and the video recaps. So yeah, we definitely encourage everyone to be in the team chat. That's our place to talk shit. Not everybody's on Facebook. I doubt everybody's reading the comment section in YouTube, where it's usually Corey just making some sort of silly response.
And nobody's liking or subscribing. I know not all of you are subscribed, and that hurts my feelings. But yeah. And least favorite part of the year for him. He said, me, like week 2, what do you mean players on the can't cut list? What the fuck does that mean? Well, fuck.
I wonder who he wanted to cut. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you because, I mean, those guys usually, you don't want to cut them if they don't let you cut them.
Week 2. I'm not sure. I would need more clarification on that. And questions for the commissioners. What happened to the themes? Can we do drag names one year or team names based off the city of your birth or astrological sign? So many options. And then also said, love you fuckers, except when Nathan cheated in week 4 and beat me, bastard. Okay, thanks, bye. Yeah.
I mean, Nathan has a history of cheating, so we always got to keep an eye on him for that.
I do take that way too personally. I think that's not okay to say.
I know.
Any questions for the commissioner? So the themes, we decided to stop doing themes after year 10, which was the last themed year, Stadium Arcadium, the Red Hot Chili Peppers year. And the reason for that is because they weren't just random themes.
Right.
It was the season had to correspond with the corresponding number of an anthology. of any type. So we talk about movie anthologies. Like our fourth season was Star Wars Chapter 4, A New Hope. And then Stadium Arcadium was the 10th season because that was Red Hot Chili Peppers' 10th album. And you look throughout all of the seasons except for literally the first one, all of them are like the second season was Top Gun Part 2, or not Top Gun, Hot Shot Part 2, and so on and so forth. And it was just, we had done some projecting into the future. Kelley and I, we, thinking about the health of the league, we project, 4 and 8 years forward, obviously, but then we also project 30 years forward as well. And it was pretty obvious pretty early that we weren't going to be able to do that indefinitely. In years 6 and 7, we contemplated, we're going to cut this off at 15, 12. And then when we got to year 8, we were like, we probably need to cut it off at 10. So we had a 2-year, 24-month kind of runway to shutting that off, and decided it was the best thing to do. Most of that's not true. Most of that is just me talking shit. But that's why we don't do themes anymore, is it was just going to be too hard to sustain. And we stopped doing themes year 11. I think, Kelley, you had some input about why we stopped doing themes?
Yeah, Corey ruined it.
Corey ruined it?
Yeah.
Corey ruined it,
Corey
okay.
ruined the themes. We were trying to do themes, and he was trying to impose his theme on us, and with his team name, and he just wasn't playing by the rules. So, yeah, if anybody's upset that we don't have themes, I blame Corey. But again, that's also talking out of my ass, and it's not really true, but it's just funny. I like to blame Corey for it. To be completely honest, as a commissioner, I'm not totally opposed to possibly revisiting themes in the future. Nathan's giving me a pretty good stink eye right now, so that's going to have to be something that we talk about, and probably won't happen anytime really soon, but I'm not totally opposed to it. I kind of still like the thought of the themes. It was just making sure we keep everybody as happy and as engaged as possible and not alienating anybody. So, I don't know. I could see us building mechanisms in the future to possibly be like the winner of the league gets to theme the league for the following year. But again, that's not something we discuss now. That's not something we discuss mid-season. That's a summer break kind of thing we talk about. So we're not going to get into it any deeper right now. But, just know that we're always thinking. We're always trying to figure out ways to make this league more enjoyable for everybody. Yeah, because we love y'all.
And if themes are that important to everybody but Tony, just go ahead and let us know in the chat. Yeah. All right. Let's get to the penultimate team. Finally, Slippin' Steffi. So drafting out of the number 2 spot. Like to see this. She got Jonathan Taylor because Corey did what he did, getting Austin Eckler. So her 1, 2, 3 is Jonathan Taylor, Nick Chubb. So that's a pretty strong 1-2 running back duo. Yeah. And then third pick, wide receiver Mike Evans, who's done really, really well. Best pick, she was given Raheem Mostert, who that has panned out. And then going out on a limb was given Christian Kirk, who I think is also, especially at the beginning of the season, worked out more than not. So a really great draft, no matter what Yahoo says. And then looking at the roster, Lamar Jackson is the quarterback. He's, only did 33 points this week, but he's had weeks where he's just gone nuclear, got a 56 in there, 49 in there. And actually, I guess he hasn't been as crazy as I thought, because I'm seeing 20s and a 15 until this week's Thursday night game. But I mean, he's playing for money. He's trying to get Baltimore to apologize for not giving him a long-term contract coming into this season. Yeah. Zach Ertz, not bad as far as the tight end sweepstakes go. And then DK Metcalf and Kareem Hunt on the bench. Kareem Hunt could be getting traded. If anything ever happened to Nick Chubb, he could go off as well. So a lot of depth on this roster.
Yeah, it's it's a pretty scary roster. I mean, it definitely has the depth. It has the potential to go all the way. And so far in the season, Stephanie's been a very formidable foe. I mean, given she's sitting at the top of the 5-2 uh, grouping, she has had pretty good luck with her matchups each week. She doesn't have a ton of points against her. Um, and she definitely doesn't have the most points for her. She's near the top, but just a solid. I just call her team solid. Like there's no real weak points to it to me. And yeah, if they stay healthy, I think she's gonna be in it towards the end.
Also has the number 2 waiver position, so if anything cool happens, she's definitely in the best position to go grab anything that happens. So a lot of depth and flexibility to grab somebody off the waiver if something, again, cool happens, like an Isaiah Likely taking over for Mark Andrews. No responses to the questionnaire, so I think we can. Sorry, the last one went so long. This one's going to be short.
Yep. Good luck for the rest of the season, Stephanie.
Yep. And finally, I know the one you guys have all been waiting for.
Nope.
It is my team, and I will go to Texas. So, number 4 draft spot. We've been clowning on the Yahoo grades, but Yahoo gave me an A- for whatever reason, and I don't think I've ever had an undefeated season go this long. It's definitely the only league out of a few leagues that I'm playing in that I'm still undefeated. But from the number 4 spot, I got Christian McCaffrey, which we just saw him get traded last week. It looks like Yahoo has upgraded or updated his jersey on their website because he's wearing red. My number 2 pick was Javonte Williams, who I had a lot of Javonte Williams stock across the board. Super sad that he's out for the rest of the season because whenever he got the touches, he was doing really well with them. And we're seeing the committee in Denver with Melvin Gordon. It's just not working out for those guys. So I think he definitely would have taken over and shown out like Kenneth Walker is doing for the Seahawks, but alas, he gone. And then I was glad to get Mark Andrews with my 3rd pick. And most weeks that's panned out. The last 2 weeks it has not, but that is just too bad for me. Yahoo gave me a biggest steal for getting Kenny Galladay, so let's all laugh at that. And for stretch pick, it gave me Tony Pollard, who now that Zeke is out, I get to laugh at Yahoo because Tony Pollard is going to set the world on fire.
Yeah, he's looking really good. Every week he just seems to be doing better and better. And hopefully he can stay healthy and keep that crew going. But yeah, I mean, guess good for you on being undefeated so far.
Woo.
Happy for you. I mean, not really. But not going to say you haven't earned it. You do put in a ton of work, and you do currently have the most points for in the league so far for the entire season. But also on the flip side, you have the second least points against.
Mm-hmm.
So you've been getting very favorable matchups. Are you going to be able to hold on to the undefeatedness? I don't think so.
At one point I played definitely 2, but I think 3 undefeated teams back to back to back. And I felt good that I beat all of them, but each of them did have like some kind of squirreliness happen where they didn't put up the points they usually put up. Yeah. And as the pick of Kenny Galladay sort of implies, I do a lot of roster tinkering, and I have the second most wire moves after Corey. One thing I'm definitely proud of is my defense. That's something I haven't changed a lot. I've got Nick Bolton was a guy that I had my eyes on at the end of last season because he's like a little electric cannonball, just running around doing great things, and he's kept that up this year because it's literally year 2 for him. But then Jordan Brooks, Roquan Smith, and then I had TJ Watt, and he did really, really well week 1, and then hasn't played since. So that last spot on the defense, I've been rotating out quite a bit. But as far as my core roster, I stashed DeAndre Hopkins, and he came back last week with over 100 yards and 10 receptions. So I'm looking forward to see, how far he can take being Kyler Murray's number one guy. Jalen Waddle was actually my wide receiver one that I picked up, and he actually is lived up to it most weeks, even though he's behind Tyreek Hill. Chris Godwin, slow start with some injuries, and was a little bit worried he wasn't going to come back to form, but he's gotten a ton of targets week after week after week. So looking forward to my wide receiver core continuing to do good things. But really, it all comes down to running backs usually, right?
Yeah.
And Christian McCaffrey, again, drafting from the number 4 spot, I had to, make a choice for him or Cooper Kupp, him or Justin Jefferson, him or some other options. I think even Derrick Henry would have been available to me, but just had to go with it. He definitely burned me last year, but this year, at least, the wheels have yet to fall off. And now he's on San Francisco, which I think will be good for him. But I guess I'm just going to have to ride that out and see how that goes. With one of my other high draft picks, I picked Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who did pretty well at the beginning of the season, but now seems to have lost his job to Isaiah Pacheco, who I also have on my roster. So last year, I got pretty far playing Zeke and Tony Pollard as kind of the 1A, 1B on the Dallas Cowboys. And that did well for me. I think I'll probably do the same thing most weeks with CEH and Isaiah Pacheco as a 1A, 1B for the Kansas City Chiefs and just kind of let that ride. And tight end is Mark Andrews, who suffered a shoulder injury Thursday night, but it doesn't seem to be too serious. I'll probably lose him for a couple weeks because they definitely have a bye week after next. But when he comes back, hopefully continues to be his dominant self. And quarterback, I also drafted pretty high Patrick Mahomes because I did have a kind of top 3 that I wasn't going to walk out of this draft without. And, had to pull the trigger on him. Somebody was talking shit, either Brian or probably Corey, about me doing that. And it's paid off for me.
Yeah. I mean, I hate to say it, you do have a really good looking team, and I think you do have a definite chance to take it all the way. I will say, though, as you're talking and I'm looking at your roster and everything, I'm kind of getting flashbacks to my season last year, where I was just absolutely dominating. Looked like nobody could touch me with my off the back of Derrick Henry, and then he goes down. Now you got McCaffrey, who's pretty injury prone, and you're doing a little too good right now.
Yeah.
So
right now I'm projected to lose to Lauren. I've especially playing all those undefeated teams back to back to back. I was ready to lose this undefeated streak at any point. I doubt I'll make it to the playoffs undefeated, so it's got to happen eventually. But I don't think anybody has ever ridden as high as you did last year when you're, core 3 were Derrick Henry, Cooper Kupp, and Deebo Samuel when he was Deebo Samuel. So I appreciate the comparison, but I don't know. You're riding high. I'm living on a prayer.
I wouldn't call what you have a prayer. I think you're a little better. We'll see. And I mean, that's the magic of fantasy. That's all 12 teams in our league. And
well, I was going to get to my responses.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
So not to be a dick about it, but again, pretty excited about it. My one word is definitely undefeated.
Get your towel.
That the highlight for me is definitely being undefeated, and the low light is the constant fear of being defeated. So thanks for that, everybody. I couldn't have done it without most of you.
Oh, fuck you, dude.
All right, so if you're still listening, if you listened to this whole thing, thank you so much.
What are you doing with your life if you did?
this again, Kelley and I love being commissioners of this league. Love all you guys, obviously, but this is trying to make it more fun for ourselves, but also definitely for you guys, and putting together content somewhat regularly, even if it's just 2.5 minutes, has made this season a memorable one so far, and definitely a fun one for me.
Yeah, I mean, this season is definitely shaping into being something super fun. The second half is going to be really exciting. Everybody's so close right now. Basically, only Corey is eliminated from playoff contention.
I don't think even Corey's eliminated mathematically. Including this week, there are 8 matchups left. So run the board, you guys towards the bottom. Try to hang on, you guys towards the top. And again, anybody can make it to the playoffs. Just kind of last thought is the trade deadline for our league is November 19th. Mm-hmm. So if you're going to do any wheeling and dealing, get it done before then. Kelley and I will almost certainly do another one of these going into the playoffs, just to talk about the race between now and then. So definitely treat it that way. Again, nobody's out. Try and get to the playoffs. Set your lineups.
And remember, we're all fighting for the undisputed greatest trophy in fantasy sports kind. The Tyrannosaurus Tex trophy.
Mm-hmm.
Greater than any other trophy or thing given out for a winner.
I know a lot of you have won this, but for those of you who haven't, you really, really, truly, sincerely, you might be able to imagine it, but you don't know the joy of, like, whenever you open the door to your house and just right in front of you is that trophy displayed prominently in the family photo area or whatever. And every time you walk out the door, you wave bye to it, and every time you're asleep, you kind of dream about it a little bit.
And it's they're protecting you. And I have to say, everybody who's ever had it in their house for a season has experienced great fortunes and luck always going their way. So this is something that you want. You really want this thing. I know I do. I know I really want to keep it in Texas if possible. But, I mean, I want it. It's been way too long.
Yeah, it's called to me every night in my sleep since then. Yeah.
I might even get a tattoo of it.
All right, we're going to go think about the trophy.
Yep.
Love you guys.
Love you.